Hi everyone, my name is Matt. I'm the youth and family pastor of Cornerstone Church in Marshfield. I'm here today with your Cornerstone Connection, a daily devotional. Well, friends, a few weeks ago, I was with my family. We were on a vacation and we went to an aquarium. And in that aquarium, they had a very small area that was dedicated to art, in particular to paintings. And it was what I believe was local artists, and they were the beautiful paintings that really showed some of the great scenery from the area, from the local area that we were in. And so we spent, 10 minutes, as long as you can spend with three boys that are 10 and under looking at paintings. But we spent about 10 minutes looking at these paintings that are very, very captivating, very beautiful. But here's what was clear. As we entered this area to look at these paintings, there was this line on the ground. It was like painter's tape or something like that. And it was clear, though there wasn't a sign, it was clear that this line should not be crossed. Because what they're trying to communicate is you can look at these paintings, but you cannot touch them. You can look and gaze upon the beauty of these paintings, but you may not go and grab a hold of these paintings, touch them or anything like that. We don't want you to get any closer. We want you to think you can just take them off the wall and go and buy them at the gift shop or anything like that. No, this line is not to be crossed. You're able to look, enjoy, gaze upon it, talk about it, all that kind of thing, but stay on this side of the line. Don't touch it. Don't experience it beyond this line, okay? And today we get into Deuteronomy chapter 32. And towards the end of Deuteronomy 32, we are reminded of something that we saw back in the book of Numbers. As God's people are making their way through the wilderness, of course, under the leadership of Moses and Aaron, there's a point in Numbers 20 when, of course, they're thirsty and it leads them to grumble and complain. And Moses and Aaron fall on their face before God and say, God, please provide for these people. They don't stop grumbling and complaining. And God is gracious. He says, okay, do this. Speak to this rock. Water will come out of this rock and they will be provided for. And their grumbling and complaining will stop. And so Moses and Aaron, they go before the whole assembly of the Israelites. But instead of just speaking to this rock, Moses, probably in his irritation, his anger towards the people, he's frustrated. He takes his rod and he hits the rock, not once, but he hits it twice. And that has all kinds of symbolism that points actually to Jesus, the rock, and the fact that he only needed to be struck once to cover our sins, not twice. There's so many good layers to that story that we don't have time to cover today. But as we get into Deuteronomy chapter 32, we're reminded of that event because the Israelites are coming upon the promised land. And what we're going to find is that God is going to hold to what he told Moses would be the consequence of his disobedience. And so let me read this short section at the end of Deuteronomy chapter 32. After Moses has just declared the words, recited a song to them, that he wants them to remember what God has done for them. He wants them to remember what he's commanded of them so that as they enter this land, they will flourish there. They will obey him and they will live long in this land. He knows he will not be entering it, but he wants the people to be able to enjoy it and to flourish there. So join me in verse 48 and we'll read all the way through the rest of chapter 32. It says, on that same day, the Lord told Moses, go up into the Abarim range to Mount Nebo in Moab, across from Jericho, and view Canaan, the land I am giving the Israelites as their own possession, aka the promised land. There on the mountain that you have climbed, you will die, and you will be gathered to your people, just as your brother Aaron died on Mount Hor and was gathered to his people. Here God retells why. This is because both of you broke faith with me in the presence of the Israelites at the waters of Meribah Kadesh, in the desert of Sin. And because you did not uphold my holiness among the Israelites, therefore you will see the land only from a distance. You will not enter the land I am giving to the people of Israel. Now, I've always thought, man, Lord, that's a little harsh. Like all that Moses has endured, all of his obedience that he's had towards you, and you won't allow him to go into this promised land that he's let the people, that he's going to lead these people into. I mean, come on, Lord, why, right? But isn't that the case? It's one thing to be at a museum and be told you can look at these paintings, but you can't touch them. But don't these things happen in life? Like maybe you've had circumstances in life where there's that job opportunity and you see that job opportunity, you apply for it, maybe even get an interview, you start envisioning what it would look like for you to be in that job and in that role, and you can start just dreaming about it, and then you find out you didn't get the job, right? You were able to look at it, gaze upon it, dream about it, but you weren't able to experience it. Or maybe you met that special someone and you go, man, I think this is the one. I think this is the one that God has given me to start a family with. And you start envisioning, you start thinking about the home you're going to live in, the kids that you might have, and all that God's going to bless you with in this marriage with this person. But then suddenly that relationship ends and it's like, man, God allowed you to see something, but you weren't able to experience it. And we can apply this to so many different situations. And same sort of situation that Moses had. And of course, we can, when we don't get to experience, we don't get to quote unquote touch, we can look but not touch in those things in life. The question is, God, why? God, why? God, why? God, why? And it's there that we're given opportunities to trust. And I think back to a sermon preached by Pastor Andy here last week, and he talked about when we just need to trust God's sovereignty. We need to also ask, okay, what is God preparing me for if it's not this? And what is God maybe preventing me from? And we just need to trust him. And I know that's easier said than done, but what a great opportunity it is that we have to be able to trust God when we don't get what we envision, when we're able to see and look but not touch and experience. And God goes, no, this isn't it. I need you to trust me for what's next, whatever that might be. Friends, I don't know what it is for you, but just like Moses, I encourage and I challenge you to trust God despite disappointment at times. And he will prove himself faithful over and over again. Thanks, friends. It was great spending time with you, and I can't wait to see you next time on the Cornerstone Connection.